The plug is basically it's an opportunity for Christians to get together and to have fellowship, to have fun, but also to think deeply about a culturally relevant topic from
and into relationships. And then the third one, how to partner with a godly woman. We're also going to break that one up into friendships and in relationships. So we don't plan to leave the guys out at all. You do have a big part in this. I know maybe the first part, how to be a godly woman, maybe that doesn't feel as relatable to you. But the second and third part, we make sure to include friendships, relationships. So please don't check out. We had you in mind. We did. Just put it out there. It will feel a little weird. I just want us to become aware of what we've absorbed passively or actively, what we're bringing into this. So the first thing that I want you guys to do is close your eyes and take a deep breath with me. When you take a deep breath, this is just breath work. You breathe in deeply, you have to breathe out even more. Just acknowledge this might feel weird. Keep taking deep breaths. One thing that I want you to do, keep your eyes closed, is just at the beginning of this night, think about what you're bringing into this, like homework or your car or your job, and just mentally just place that at the door just for tonight so that you can be present. You can pick that back up later. Now, the exercise is, I want you to picture a godly woman. Just picture, keep that picture in your mind. Something appeared in your mind already. Just hold that. Don't judge it. Just hold it. I want you to fill in some of the details for me. How does she look? How is she dressed? Who's she with? Does she have kids? Is she married? Is she single? Is she happy? What is she feeling? What is she doing? How does it make you feel, this image? Okay, now you can open your eyes. Thank you for doing that. I know that felt weird. Okay.
No,
deep. I would love to hear from you. Again, we're just going to play that game. We listen and don't judge. It's not what you intentionally believe about what it means to be a godly woman. This is what your mind delivered to you, right? That's it. We're not judging each other's. We're not judging our own. I would love to hear if
somebody, she would stay right there. Until finally one Sunday, I was like, hey, you look like you want to say something to me. And she was like,
that's funny. Hi.
She was just like, I really appreciate the way that you led and how you really made us feel comfortable and safe to share our stories. And I just think you're just phenomenal. And I was just like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think from that moment on, like, she took me and my husband in and my son, and she loves on my husband, she loves on my son, she loves on me, and she challenged me, she convicts me in ways that I never would expect it. And this is a white woman, by the way. So she's speaking it to me in the way she's loved me. I think that it's just beauty in the way that she kind of just pretty much did what this Bible says. So I feel like in walking and talking, she's a walking, talking, living, breathing Titus 2, 3, and 6. And I think that she exudes that very well. So.
When I was thinking about, we kind of had similar people in our lives, actually. When I was thinking about somebody in my life, like a real life person, and I'm like, that is a godly woman. I thought about who I spent my day with today, actually. She teaches with me. We're co-teachers together. And her name is Mina, and I just love her so much. She is my closest and potentially first, like, intergenerational friendship. She's in her 50s. And I did not know the blessings that could happen in a relationship where you are different with your ages. Her children have named me as her finding herself at a young age. Like, we're very similar people. But she just really encourages me. She's really brave. She moved here from Korea, still struggles quite a bit with English. And but even back then, when she moved here with 3 kids and took care of 3 kids, she wasn't able to drive, still doesn't drive, and navigated the world just trusting the Lord. And I've just never seen anything like it. But one thing is true, you know, in her, she parents just very differently than her culture. She just cares mostly about them loving Jesus. And she doesn't have a ton of money because of all the reasons listed, right? She's not from here. She isn't super competent in the language. She doesn't drive. And she tells me, I can't give my children money, but my father is rich. And when she started saying that to me, that really impacted me.
Man,
And I will say, even
the
though
wisdom.
she is not rich, her children all love Jesus, and they're all in competent careers in their early 20s. They're all provided for, and they provide for her.
Praise the Lord.
And it's just one of those things where I see, like, every time I'm talking about, oh, my friends in Botox and whatever, like, we're at the age where our friends are, at least my friends are talking about, oh, the sweat. All my friends, our skin is
She said her
we have
skin
different
is different.
They're all talking about Botox and all these different things getting done to their body.
I'm so
and
weak.
Mina is always like, this does not last. It does not last. And she always just encourages me like that to pray for my kids. She is on me about praying for my family to come to salvation. She'll be like, are you praying? When you go home, you share the gospel.
Yeah.
Give it to your mother.
But yeah.
You know, she is not playing with me. So she's really serious about her faith. And I just see from my life the way that her blessings have been multiplied because she has put things in order in her life.
Yeah.
Woman at the well. This is one of the stories that really like captured my heart. This is in John 4, the Samaritan woman. And it's this story of like this woman, she's not the most virtuous woman in the entire Bible. She's already had 5 husbands, she's living with a 6th man, okay, blah, blah, blah. That's her story. That's where she's at currently when we meet her. She's at a well in the middle of the day, all by herself. She's approached by Jesus, which first of all, men are not talking to women at this point. She's a Samaritan, he's a Jew. Second of all, Samaritan and Jews are not talking. And then Jesus approaches her with a need. He's like, will you help me? And she's like, what is happening? This story is just insane, like culturally insane. But what I love about her is that, you know, she's an outcast of society. Everybody's judging her and talking about her and all these other things. But when she meets Jesus and believes in him, she leaves all of that. And she runs towards those people. She runs towards this shame.
So
she
courageous.
tells them all about her life and this Jesus that she met, and so many people came to believe. She's like this first evangelist ever. You know, it's just this really amazing story of what can happen when we encounter Jesus. So that's just a story that I love. Now, I want to share a little bit about what I'm kind of bringing and where I'm coming from with this topic. I'm sure one of the reasons that Kaidi thought of me, that Aaron thought of me, is that they know that I think about womanhood in the Bible a lot. I talk about it a lot. It has been a big... Men and women in marriage, men were not expected to be faithful to women, right? Women were expected to be faithful to men, but it was not really the expectation for men to be faithful to women. So you can see why that's not very secure for women. That leaves women open to disease. I mean, back then, I don't know how they were taking care of that. Men could just leave their wives, like they didn't really have to have a reason. And women couldn't provide for themselves as easily back then. So it really left women in a vulnerable spot. When Christianity came in, Christian men were expected, they had the same expectations as women, which was very different, and it created security for women. Christian families did not believe in infanticide, which is when you kill a child right when they're born, so when they're an infant. So this has been a norm in a lot of cultures.
Still happens
all
today.
through time, still happens quite a bit. But at this point, and a lot of times, it's girls that are being killed. So this was specifically against girls. Most Roman families, they just wanted one girl, if any. So if you already had a girl and then you birthed a girl, you would destroy that child in whatever way. So Christian families didn't believe in that, protecting the girls, which would be, you know, obviously later women, but also the mother. I can't imagine the mother's heart if that happened to your child. So that really protected both the mother and the children. Christian families didn't believe in abortion, which was a large reason that women were dying back then. So that protected women as well. And women in this culture, again, not in Christianity. So it feels kind
Roman
of flipped
culture.
now, you know. But back then, women, non-Christians, were being forced into marriage young. They did not have a choice. But Christian women had more of a choice. They had more of a say on who they married, and they were generally older when they got married. Women and men, they could choose generally if they got married or not, which was not a choice. I actually read stories of women who were martyred back then, Christians, because a man wanted to marry them, but it wasn't a Christian man, and they said no, so they were killed for that. So it was not
crazy.
a choice for a lot of women. So
Can
anyway,
imagine.
that ended on a dark note, but
No, it's real.
those are the reasons.
Yeah.
You know, just the way that Jesus changed,
We need to know.
gave
Yeah.
freedom to women wherever he went. Whenever the message of Christ entered a culture, women's lives got better. That's true globally.
Yeah.
Like, from forever until now, that's true globally. So
Yeah.
those are the things that really won me to loving Jesus. But then I entered a church and I really began to struggle. And this is kind of what my 20s looked like. It was really just a lot of wrestling. Like, I went to so many women's retreats in that time, and I just feel like a lot of what I heard about was modesty, submission, what am I allowed to do in a church, purity. They weren't, I mean, obviously helpful discussions, but it just kind of left me feeling less freedom, I think, than the Jesus I read about. I felt this pressure to kind of look and appear a certain way. There wasn't really a list of rules. It just was something I began to internalize after being in church culture for a while. Again, I didn't grow up in the church, so this all was kind of new for me. And then I just had trouble translating the freedom that Jesus brought women to what I was experiencing in a church. And then, as I got further into the Bible, I started reading these stories and scriptures that I just had trouble reconciling.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd love to read a passage with you all today, one of the ones that I've struggled with the most. I'd love to bring you in on just like what kind of caught me and the ways that the Lord has dealt with me over the years with it. I will just like prep you. This is not a story that I feel 100% finished with. But I think it's important that we talk about these things. And I mean, on a night like tonight, why not? So
Yeah, this is
2 Samuel. Okay, so where was David and why?
I missed that part.
He was at home. He
He's at home.
should have been at war.
Maybe that's what it should have. Where should he have been?
He should have been at war with the army.
This city was supposed to be absent of men.
Sure, yeah.
It was.
Yeah, they're all
And
fighting.
where do we find David?
Spying on the roof.
Can I ask
At a
another
bathing room.
question first? Who are Eliam and who are Uriah?
Hmm.
Do you know?
Where are they mentioned?
I don't know. Eliab.
She's the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure.
They are both members of David's 30 mighty warriors. So they were all away at battle. They were
So her
fighting.
parents were away.
Her father was away and her husband was away.
I didn't know that about her father. I knew your mother.
Sure, that adds important
This
context.
is very important.
Because had they had been there, things would have been
Would
different.
have
And
been
it means
Yeah.
that those men were good friends of David.
very good friends.
So this was
and
not
very
just
loyal.
adultery, it was also a betrayal of friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, was anyone taught anything about Bathsheba growing up? Like, have you heard sermons growing up? You can kind of shout out some.
She was painted in a bad light.
Like what?
She and David did this together, kind of thing.
Like it was mutual?
Yeah,
Or like she.
oh, okay, you're
invited
calling
him?
me over, I'll go. Like,
Okay, so that's
I'm-
just mutual.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
happily went over there.
yeah, happily. That's a good. word.
Okay.
Honestly, I've heard her mentioned kind of in passing when people talk about David. But again, I didn't grow up in the church, so a lot of people probably have more context. But since I've been a Christian, what I often hear is like, David, even though he did a few bad things, like Bathsheba, he also, you know what I'm saying? That's usually that when I hear her mentioned, it's like in passing when people are praising David.
Part of his sinful conduct.
Yeah, and it's, and it always made me like, it always makes me like, people gloss over that a lot. Makes me wonder more. Yeah.
I feel like maybe growing up, I was like questioning Bathsheba's motives. Like, why was she on the roof naked?
Valid question.
My bad is in my
And
didn't
her,
have to do all that.
you know.
Can I give you some more context?
This is messy.
It was all women though. Okay. It was all women.
Ain't no girl code either.
Okay, so
Very much tea.
so this is Plan B. Let's read Plan B. Can somebody read this slide as verses 14 to 25?
When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men in David's army fell. Moreover, Uriah the Hittite died. That's crazy. Joab sent David a full account of the battle. He instructed the messenger, "When you have finished giving the king this account of the battle, the king's anger may flare up, and he may ask you, 'Why did you get so close to the city to fight? Didn't you know they would shoot arrows from the wall? Who killed Abimelech, son of Jerub? I can't say what that's. Besha? Didn't a woman drop an upper milestone on him from the wall so that he died in Thebez? Why did you get so close to the wall? If he asks you this, then say to him, moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.' The messenger set out, and when he arrived, he told David everything Joab had sent him to say. The messenger said to David, 'The men overpowered us and came out against us in the open, but we drove them back to the entrance of the city gate. Then the archers shot arrows at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's men died. And moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.' David told the messenger, 'Say this to Joab. Don't let this upset you. The sword devours one as well as another. Press the attack against the city and destroy it. And say this to encourage Joab.'"
Okay. So what is his plan B?
Yeah, it's killing.
And make it look like.
It looks like he died.
I think NIV.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
He was
and
trying
make
to
it
kill
look
him.
like
He
it
died
was
in
a
the war.
natural
Yeah.
death.
A natural death.
I'm sorry.
Mess.
For your loss.
You're right.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm sorry for your loss."
Man.
He said, "Oh, that's crazy." He said, "My condolences."
Yeah, no, for real. David.
He was the best of us.
King of mess.
Uriah.
Did you say he was the best of us? No. No. Like, dang, bro.
How's his wife gonna feel? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
I
sad.
hope somebody will take care of her.
Messy, messy, messy.
She's so beautiful.
He was a good one.
Okay, I'm gonna read. So this is the final verse that we're gonna read tonight of this. When Uriah's wife, Bathsheba, when Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him.
Poor girl.
And the time of mourning was over. After the time of mourning was over, David had her brought to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son.
My God.
But the thing David had done displeased the Lord. Okay.
She's crying now. She was.
All right. So now this is the the story is problematic, but this ending right here, this verse right here, that was a point where I would just close my Bible, press delete.
Man, been there, been
Did you
there.
ever turn the page and read chapter 12?
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about next.
Okay. All right.
So this has just been a very difficult story for me to kind of work through, and I think more difficult as my life at certain seasons and certain times became more difficult.
Yeah.
There were ways that I related to Bathsheba. There were questions that I've had about Bathsheba's life. How fair is this? She was vulnerable. You know, we don't know. Like, we just really don't know how much she
consented.
participated and consented. There could have been zero consent. There
Yeah.
could have been 100% consent.
Right.
We bring in our own thoughts, our own experiences,
Yeah.
and we can't put that in the story because it's not in here.
Right.
I feel like if the king calls you over.
The power dynamics are a problem.
Yeah.
And they lead me to believe a certain thing, but the reality is
It doesn't say it
doesn't
explicitly.
It
Yeah.
doesn't say. So you bring in your own stuff,
Yeah.
which I acknowledge.
Yeah.
And I was bringing in my own stuff to this story though, because I relate to Bathsheba and some things that have happened in my life, and I just didn't see resolve in this. I didn't see fairness in this.
Yeah.
I felt like she was vulnerable, and so there was one point. Now I don't put in a lot of calls to Aaron because he's a busy man. But this was the call that I put into Aaron.
I'm so
I called
weak.
him. I said, "No, how am I doing?" I was ready for the teeth.
Now she gave him 2 red flags. All right, the guy's got a green flag and a red flag.
Some men have 2 red flags.
Right. Intentionally. No.
We listen and we don't touch.
Right.
Oh, this is she's a 10.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. So the way that this game goes is called She's a 10, but.
Oh yeah, they have to say it.
And then you guys are gonna tell us what are some like deal breakers in a Christian relationship. So think of some.
The guys with the flags,
Guys
or
think of it, and then I want just like one guy at a time to name it, and then you guys will either lift a green flag, like I still go for it, or a red flag, or like I would still advise someone to go for it, or a red flag, like that's absolutely no.
So hold on, the green flag means
Go for it.
I was still
Like it's still fine.
Okay.
Not a 10, but whatever. But like that's fine.
this will be interesting.
It gotta be a syllabus for the club. Come on.
All right, come on, y'all. What y'all think? What's some green and red flags?
She is a 10, but one of the guys have to say something.
All the guys make
It's
them
a
up.
safe space.
Don't be scared. She's a 10, but
But she doesn't want to have children.
Ooh, spicy. Don't need no more kids. My boy said, "Hey, y'all can have them kids."
I actually want everybody to say it with me, and then somebody else.
Oh, okay, got you.
Hold on, so I want clarification.
You don't need to explain.
Is that talking about she's a 10 just in terms of like physical attractiveness?
Oh my God. It's a lingo, Aaron. It's slang. It's not.
Everything she encompasses.
You're so social.
She's the
But
perfect
I
package.
don't want to do. Let's not do physical.
She's the
Let's
perfect
just,
package.
Like, you know,
Yeah, like
Yeah,
she's
that's why
very
they're naming attributes.
She's
Yeah.
like top tier, but
let's not do the
Okay.
physical.
All right,
Let's
good.
not.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. Now that we're all on the same page.
Okay.
For the people over 30 in the room.
You guys can say it with me. She's a 10,
But.
She has no accountability.
Oh!
wait, are we not gonna talk about
I know. I kind of want to talk about it too.
Wow.
Wait a minute, what's an example of that?
Huh?
What's an example of that?
Express knowing that you're wrong and saying that you're wrong.
Yeah, can't take accountability
Not
for
ignoring
nothing.
that you're wrong.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
improving and being able to
Apologize.
say that I'm wrong and try to be better?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right. That's good.
Okay. She's
It's a 10, but.
She has 47 cats.
You said, hey, I dig it. You said, I dig it. All right, Sean. So you don't want kids. Hey, we're listening, we don't judge.
But he have a green flag. Why'd you hold up a green flag?
Sean?
Why'd you hold up?
You like cats, big dog?
Well, I put the green flag. I love cats. What can I say?
That's sweet. Someone special.
The blessings. 48.
okay. She's
She's a 10, but.
She doesn't know how to listen.
Oh, wowzers! He went in for the kisser. Wow. Define listen. Now, look, we all want to know. So, like, right.
listening is wanting to understand where another person is coming from.
Like actually
rather
listening,
than just dismissing it based off of feelings or whatever.
pride or whatever. Yeah, that's real. That is good. A lot of people are bad listeners.
They are.
You made me feel a certain way, but you like, nah, put that to the side.
Mm.
I don't care about that.
All right.
It's fine. I'm listening to understand.
Yes.
Jesus.
You know, not caring for his wife and being harsh. And I think mainly you're pointing to the other extreme, maybe of the guy who's like super passive, super like he is not actually taking initiative, and the tendency, so that is you kind of
because that kind of connotation automatically
So he's not taking the
and it's automatically labeled as like loving or like supportive, and it's like no, like there is a dynamic that is God
Still
ordained.
supposed to be upheld.
You know what I mean? So it's
My
like
husband was like that, passive, and we would, I would read books and books and books trying to work on our marriage and make it better, and took him to counseling, and he would go, but it was like going to counseling was enough. He wasn't doing the work, and in order to make it work, he has to be willing to work too. You both have to work.
Is your question, how do guys balance that, or as a woman, as a wife?
Because I guess for women,
Gotcha.
like, well, how do you walk alongside that?
I
Or,
would say
yeah.
you're not gonna end up with
I'm gonna say because you're wanting to walk alongside the guy, and you seem like a very strong-minded woman, and so I don't think that
You're gonna end up with a passive guy.
So like you know what I'm saying, like, and I'm not even trying to shy over your question, but I don't think that. Because it seems like that's what you require, so I don't think that you'll be like, okay, like I'm gonna date this guy and kind of, like, because that would be a point of contingency for you.
Yeah.
The time that you have some guy that's really not leading you in that way.
But what I will say with extreme thinking here, black and white thinking can be tough in this situation.
Yeah.
So when you think about passivity, don't just every time he is passive be like he's passive. You know what
Generalize
I mean?
him as that.
Certain areas of life
Yeah.
that maybe it's not that big.
Nuanced, yeah.
Right? Like maybe
He might be more passionate about certain
certain
things.
Does that have to bother you? Is that him being passive? It
I mean,
doesn't
I do
matter.
that.
There are moments that it's like it's a problem,
Yeah.
right? So you can break down his life into these categories and be like, how many times is he passive in all? Is he passive in all of these ways? Is this his way of making decisions? Does he just not make them?
Yeah.
Or is it just that he's passive in this area of his life?
Right.
Is that big of a deal? That's not really who he is.
Right. That's
So
real.
that's just, you have to be careful
really
with black
good.
and white thinking, because I know that that's like a
Yeah.
place of fear for you. Like, I don't want to be with a dude that's like that. So every time you see that, you don't have to like seize up.
Yeah.
Right.
You can just mentally in your head be like, this is an area that he is like this.
Right.
And then you can see if that continues to be a pattern in other areas of his life.
Because in moving forward in marriage, there are things that I lead in my marriage, and my husband doesn't. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that is really good that you say that, because he's not going to lead in
Every single thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do believe that he should lead when it counts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah,
is
that's
valid.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, Chloe was going to say something. Right?
I was, but you covered it.
Well, it wasn't close on them, but it's because she's so close, you know.
I struggle with submitting.
Are you married?
I was about to say, if you're not married, then you don't have to.
Who are you submitting to?
Yeah.
Jesus.
The Lord.
Right.
That's like in relationships. In some aspects, I struggle with like submitting.
Yeah.
Please explain.
Yeah.
So I'm in a relationship.
Basically, yeah.
So, but like I like struggle when it comes to like allowing him to figure it out. So allowing him to be the man. I feel like I have to step in because
Oh,
that is a
Yeah.
temptation.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say,
well,
that just...
that's not submission. Well, like that.
that's just fixing his life.
Right.
Well,
That's you wanting certain things from him. Yeah.
I sometimes get in the headset like
I can figure it out myself. I don't need nobody. I don't call my mama for nothing. For no advice. I think in my head that I can figure it out until I start to plummet. Then I'll be like, actually, I'm drowning and I need help.
I guess my question
Mm-hmm.
for you is, what do you think submission is?
I think one submission.
Yeah.
I feel like,
I think so too. Cause well,
honestly, sometimes I don't even know. Because I don't even know, like, in what aspects am I supposed to submit in and what aspects I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, I would say like if you have a problem and calling somebody for help, that doesn't sound like submission. That sounds like vulnerability.
So he's still moving. Yeah, it does.
She said, "What's good?"
Well, like, I know where some of my problems come from, but it's like, I don't know how to do it.
That's real.
I mean, I feel like in relationships, that's also something you can just communicate. Like, if it's like you wanting something from him, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it might not be submission, but you can communicate. Like, hey, like, I think this would, you know, I don't know. I always kind of leave with that because when you're dating, you're still, I guess, you know, getting to know this person oftentimes. But, like, I think it's okay to say, like, I feel like you should try this. Like, that's something that I would love to see from you.
Absolutely.
You know, like, if you're wanting something from him or if you think he should be doing something and you guys are dating, you do have some say, right? Because I assume that you guys are dating with the intentions of, like, moving forward, you know. It's okay to just be like, I really think, you know, based on, you know, whatever it is, or like based on what I've seen from you and what I've learned, what I know, whatever, that, you know, I would like to see you try this. I would like to see more of this from you, especially, again, if you're thinking about, you know, marriage or qualities. Exactly. Yeah, you're still going to be communicating about pulling things out of your partner and like, those conversations will be ongoing, but it just has to be an open conversation. I feel like, yeah. Yeah, you don't need to be submitting to nobody. I feel like that's because y'all know how on social media they be talking about that. Yes, but that's a real life thing too. On social media they talk about that. Like they be like, women don't be submitting in relationships. I'm like, y'all not married. You didn't make a covenant with this girl, so you can't. Right, you ain't committed. You didn't commit to this girl for your life before God. She don't owe you nothing. Like,
So how do you practice?
Right, I want to ask a question. So what?
You obey the speed limit.
What does it look like? So we just said earlier, no woman is required to submit to any man that's not her husband, and but we could also say no man is required to lead or to sacrifice for the person you date for to the same level he would his wife. Right?
Yeah, that's good. Julie said, "Ooh." He said, "Get into it. Get into it."
Hey, he shot straight back. He said, hold